This is part 3 of The Origin of Evil. Who is Satan? During the last video, we reviewed an interesting movie called The Cosmic Conflict, and we looked at one of its verses that claimed it was referring to Satan. This verse was Ezekiel 28, verses 14 through 17. And according to the video Cosmic Conflict, this verse was referring to Satan. But then we've looked back at the top of Ezekiel 28, and it clearly states that, "Son of man, say to the prince of Tyre." And it even goes as far as to say, "Yet you are a man and not a god." Well, Satan is apparently a spiritual being that feeds on the dust of the earth, and he obviously feeds into physical mankind, but he is a spiritual being, so he's not a man. So this is clearly not referring to Satan. Now we'll go back to the rest of the movie and pick up another verse.
How and why these seeds of rebellion germinated in his heart, we may never fully understand. But the prophet Isaiah provides this insight into Lucifer's thinking.
How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. How you are cut down to the ground, you who weaken the nations. For you have said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
I'll go to 14 verse 3. When the Lord gives you relief from your suffering and anxiety, and from the hard labor which you were made to perform, you will taunt the king of Babylon with these words. Look how the oppressor has met his end. Hostility has ceased. And verse 14, Isaiah 14 verse 12 says, Look how you have fallen from the sky, O shining one, son of the dawn. You have been cut down to the ground, O conqueror of the nations. King of Babylon. The king of Babylon. This was referring to the king of Babylon. Now this is the New English translation. Probably one of the best translations ever made. It does not refer to the word Lucifer, as you notice here. Now, I'm going to look further and look at some other translations here. We look at the NIV. It does not refer to the word Lucifer, which is a Latin word. The NASB, no Lucifer. NLT, no Lucifer. The BBE, how great is your fall from heaven, O shining one, son of the morning. How are you cut down to the earth, low among the dead bodies. And then finally we get to the New King James Version where it says, O Lucifer, and the King James Version which it says, O Lucifer. And there's an interesting story behind this word. The word Lucifer was actually mistranslated. If you compare the two Hebrew words, Hillel and Yalal, once again, I'm not a Hebrew scholar, but you get the idea. You'll notice that this word actually means to howl, son of the dawn. And he's referring to the king of Babylon. We can always remember the story of Nebuchadnezzar, how Nebuchadnezzar was brought down low to where he was made to graze in the fields like a wild animal until finally his eyes were opened and he was able to see his true state. So there is no Lucifer. There is no perfect archangel that was a cherub placed in the heavens and that was brought down low because he decided to rebel against God. Satan has always been a father of lies, and he's always been, from the beginning, a murderer, just as Jesus said. Now this has great implications for how we view God and view the Bible. If God created evil, as we stated in our first part of this series, and if God created Satan as we are saying in the second, third part of the series, then God intended for all these terrible things to happen to us. These implications fundamentally change how scriptures are viewed. I'll return to that topic on a later video. It's a very important topic in which we'll have to discuss free will versus predestination, and of course we'll have to ultimately discuss the nature of hell itself, because ultimately if God created evil and if God created Satan, then how can we worship and truly love a God that would preordain us to an ever burning eternal hell for something he knew in advance was going to happen? This is the great paradox that Christianity finds itself in. It's also been explored on several videos on YouTube, people chatting in front of their webcams and giving their ideas. And many times they'll speak against Christianity with derision. And why? Why is that? When actually Scripture itself agrees with them in terms of this. But I'll have to get more involved into the Bible study to show you these things so that you will be convinced. We are after a Berean view here. We want an understanding of what Scripture says about these things so that we can understand what Scripture truly, what the true meaning from Scripture is. It's been lost from the church for centuries. Even when Paul was ministering, he was lamenting over the fact that how quickly the churches fell away from his teaching. Now, once again, returning to Lucifer, I know I will not have convinced everyone, because there's Revelation 12, which I alluded to earlier when I was explaining that the serpent in the Garden of Eden was actually Satan the devil. There's Revelation 12:7 that says, "Then war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But the dragon was not strong enough to prevail, so there was no longer any place left in heaven for him and his angels." See, there. He was an archangel after all, right? No, we have two or more witnesses. We have to have agreed that two or more witnesses. We can't take this one verse and take it out of context. Interesting point. Job 1. In Job 1, Satan's accusation of Job. "Now the day came when the sons of God," or the angels, "came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also arrived among them. The Lord said to Satan, 'Where have you come from?' And Satan answered the Lord, 'From roving about on the earth and from walking back and forth across it.' So the Lord said to Satan, 'Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one like him on the earth, a pure and upright man, one who fears God and turns away from evil.'" Now, notice where Satan is. Satan goes right up and strolls right up into heaven, right up to the Lord, right up to his throne. There, he was welcome in heaven at the time, even though right now he is accusing the very servant of God. And again, in Job 2, Satan says that, okay, you've taken away his wealth, but Job 2:4, "But Satan answered the Lord, 'Skin for skin, indeed a man will give up all that he has to save his life, but extend your hand and strike his bone and his flesh, and he will no doubt curse you to your face.' So the Lord said to Satan, 'All right, he is in your power, only preserve his life.'" So Satan could only do what the Lord would allow him to do. Satan is in heaven right here, but he is Satan. He is accusing God. He's accusing Job. He's saying that Job would not serve God if it wasn't for all the good things God was doing for him. So God took it away. Is God playing a trivial game here with the life of Job? Jesus in Luke 10:18 said, "So he said to them, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." Once again, people say, well, he must have been an archangel, but we just said Satan was in heaven with God accusing him and his followers, accusing Job in this moment. And going back to the context of that statement, we see that the 72 had just returned from their missionary journey, their discipleship journey, and they said, "Lord, even the demons submit to us in your name." Could it be that at the point of when Jesus arrived and started his ministry, that this was when Satan fell to earth?